The first European central bank just bought Bitcoin. And while the rest of Europe and the UK try to pass digital IDs and CBDCs, one country is trying to escape. But before we get to all that, let's just remember what Christine Lagarde said very confidently at the beginning of this year in January.
On this matter that you referred to, and whether reserves of central bank should or could include bitcoins, I think there is a view around the table of the Governing Council, and most likely the General Council as well, that reserves have to be liquid, that reserves have to be secure, that they have to be safe, that they should not be plagued by the suspicion of money laundering or other criminal activities. And as a result, I'm confident that reserves will not enter, that bitcoins will not enter the reserves of any of the central banks of the General Council. I had a good conversation with my colleague from the Czech Republic, and I leave it to him to make whatever announcement he wants to make, but I'm confident that he's convinced, as we all are, of the necessity to have liquid, secure, and safe reserves.
Very interesting take from Christine Lagarde. And of course, we got a full house today. I got Nico, Dante, and of course, Bitcoin Ben with us today. So as you can hear, Christine Lagarde, this was January 2025, went out there, did this panel and was like, there's not going to be any country in the EU that's going to hold Bitcoin. And this was talking about the Czech Republic. This was the very beginning of the year where they started talking about, hey, our central bank will potentially add Bitcoin to their reserves. Christine Lagarde came out and said, yeah, this is not going to happen by any chance on my watch. And here we are, fast forward, 11 months? And guess what's happened, guys? The Czech Republic has added, well, they didn't really add Bitcoin to their reserves per se, but they did buy Bitcoin. So let me break this down a little bit, and then we will chat about it. So again, the big news here, this is coming from, I can't pronounce this, guys, but it's the Czech National Bank. And they go, the Czech National Bank has purchased digital assets for the first time in its history. They are using digital assets, guys, for the purists out there. It's not just Bitcoin, it's mainly Bitcoin, but we'll break it down. So through this $1 million investment, the Czech National Bank has created a test portfolio of digital assets based on blockchain. It's crazy that we're in 2025 and it just still sounds like buzzwords, but you know, it is what it is. In addition to Bitcoin, the portfolio will include a test investment in the form of a USD stablecoin and tokenized deposits on the blockchain. The purchase was made outside the CNB's existing international reserves. The total amount invested will not be actively increased. Quote, I came up with the idea of creating a test portfolio in January 2025, hence why we started with Christine Lagarde and her reaction to it. The aim was to test decentralized Bitcoin from the central bank's perspective and to evaluate its potential role in diversifying our reserves. The bank board then decided to have an analysis prepared. Subsequent internal discussions broadened the scope to include the future of payments and the tokenization of assets. As a result, stablecoins and tokenized deposits were included alongside Bitcoin, and we will inform the public about our experience on an ongoing basis and present an overall assessment of the project in approximately 2 or 3 years. So it looks like they either very publicly defied Christine Lagarde or really didn't care what she said. And of course, it's just a test pilot. It is only $1 million, which to us is a lot of money, but from a central bank, it's really not that much money yet. So it is a tiny, tiny grain of capital going in, though, of course, this isn't the biggest nation in the EU, but they are an EU nation. And so, hey, it does look like all the institutions want your Bitcoin now, guys. So, you know, don't be selling that Bitcoin at this point because you're selling it to a national central bank, which is obviously what we've been trying to do this whole time, is separate money from state. So big news for today. Czech National Bank bought Bitcoin. Yes, $1 million. Yes, there is some shit coins involved in this, but it's mainly Bitcoin. And I think the kind of implications here, again, Christine Lagarde came out here very confidently, was talking about, we're not going to do this. Fast forward 11 months, they're doing it. It is interesting because we always talk about the fact that all these institutions are not a monolith, that yes, they can come out and say one thing, But it looks like Czech Republic is looking for the escape, and they do have very good rules there. Like their laws in the Czech Republic are very favorable for Bitcoiners. We know there's a huge Bitcoin community in the Czech Republic. It sounds like the head of the Czech National Bank is a Bitcoiner, though, again, it's a 2 to 3 year pilot project. They're not even going to add more to it. They might even rebalance their holdings eventually. So, I mean, not perfect, but I think it is one of those moments that 2025 is showing. The institutions are here. They're not going in fully on board on Bitcoin. This is why it's so important for you guys to not be selling your Bitcoin, taking your Bitcoin into custody, because they're here and they want your Bitcoin. So since I have such a big panel, I'm going to open it up a little earlier than usual. I'll go with Nico here. Nico, what's your initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, so a couple thoughts. First of all, okay, so the fact that a central bank is at least signaling, right, not 100% confirmed, that they have the intention of buying tiny little bit of Bitcoin, I think, you know, I think it's a step in the right direction in terms of moving the Overton window. Now, the other things regarding Christine Lagarde, I was connecting some dots the other day. We were covering news, I think it was 1 or 2 days ago, or this week has just flown by. And essentially in the European Union, they're making it illegal to conduct 10,000 euro transactions, so in cash. So if you have more than 10,000 euros in cash, you cannot use that cash to purchase whatever you want. Simultaneously, around the same time, you have Christine Lagarde going out on her X account announcing a central bank digital currency. Simultaneously, you had Apple announce that they're bringing a digital ID to the iPhone. Simultaneously, you're hearing talk about them bringing digital IDs to Europe. So if you don't think that the $10,000 cap or the 10,000 euro cap is unrelated to the introduction of CBDCs and digital IDs, I think you're not paying attention whatsoever. It's not a coincidence. It's completely related. And the purpose for that is super simple. They want to keep you within the system. To use her own words, they see Bitcoin as an escape valve, right? So they need you within the system. If a digital ID gets implemented and the majority of people use it, that is a dystopia. The government will see what apps you're accessing, what food you're eating. Like, this isn't a conspiracy theory. Listen, if you look through human history, there's been so many examples of the state or the government, the centralization of power, abusing that power in order to maintain power. So what is a problem that a CBDC is fixing? Name me one. I don't think a CBDC would even be a thing if Bitcoin wasn't discovered. I don't think they would care so much. But the fact that they have a competing system, I think, freaks the hell out of them. And they're responding by trying to clamp down and building a mechanism to keep you within. And remember, this is soft power. So the way that these digital IDs and these CBDCs will work, it's not direct coercion. It's indirect coercion. What do I mean by that? So it goes into the whole social credit system, how it works. If you do certain actions or say certain things online that the government doesn't like, they shut off your access to certain things. And if you think, oh, this can't happen in the West, this is only happening in authoritarian countries like China. Do you guys remember the Canadian truckers protests? They literally shut off people's accounts because of their political ideas. And we are supposed to be living in a democracy, or Canada was supposed to be in a democracy. So how could you even consider trusting bureaucrats with even more power? I think it's just a terrible, terrible idea. So yeah, I mean, it's good, you know, that a central bank is announcing to the world, hey, we want to buy Bitcoin. I think it moves the Overton window. It legitimizes it in the eyes of institutions. But the signal here, and not the noise, is the fact that, listen, it's not a coincidence that they're introducing a digital ID. Apple's going around and advertising it as if it's the new effing iPad or something. Like, Steve Jobs is rolling in his grave. Steve Jobs liked privacy. Like, this is nuts. This is crazy. Anyways, guys, we are live streaming from Mining Disrupt in Texas, the first time in Texas. And of course, I'm joined with one of our legendary hosts, one of the most talented hosts that we have, the man, the myth, the legend, Dante
Wait, he
Cook.
is the most talented.
He literally. Dante, the only one of us that could touch the rim, Dante Cook in the house. Hey, Dante, thanks for joining us.
No, we could put Jacob on a stool. We could get him up there. Yo, Nico just went crazy right there. Just 3 minutes of bars straight. You know, the article, the title was, you know, EU, you know, central bank, you know, the Czech Republic buys $1 million in digital assets. You know, that's a much better title than, you know, they bought a single family home in Detroit. They bought Eminem's childhood home. My name is Jimmy. His is Greg Buell. Me, him, and you, we went to the same school. So it's not that much money, but it's interesting when you think about the people and how these processes come out, right? This isn't just an off-the-cuff riff. This isn't a Simply Bitcoin live show where we're coming off the cuff with straight bars and straight fire. These press releases are written intentionally by a team of people. So when you talk about what they said they're going to do, they're going to benchmark the performance and the ability to hold these digitalized tokens over the course of 2 to 3 years. Now, you look at what actual tokens were named and mentioned in that press release. There's only one, right? So which one do you think in 2 to 3 years is going to get the bad rap? Well, they can't actually settle payments. Well, they can't actually move the money. Well, it's actually not that secure. Well, it's actually not this and that. They're going to name Bitcoin as the scapegoat in 2 to 3 years because that's the only token and asset that they named in the press release. Bars. So what you know is going to happen is they're going to create their own digitalized token, right? Which, by the way, not a new and novel concept, right? They just shut down yesterday. They minted the last penny, right? There is no more physical coins. We live in a digital tokenized world. That is the dollar today. Newsflash, but there's only one single asset that cannot be minted and mined without energy in proof of work. We're at the Bitcoin, you know, the Mining Disrupt conference, and that is Bitcoin. And that's why it is a threat. That's why she called it an escape valve. The story is being played out right in front of us. You need to wake up. You need to understand what's going on. And I think the biggest thing that's happening right now that is a counterfactual to this sort of report is what's going on with like Square, right? Like they just enabled what 58?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Oh,
We're
no,
gonna
we
talk
got to
about
get to it right now.
The limits, huh?
Yeah, bro.
No. They opened up Bitcoin rails to all their Cash App.
No, but dude, there's limits, bro.
Okay, we'll chat about it.
We're going to chat about that. But Christine, her government name, like we already know what she's on. We know the type of central banking system that is going on behind the scenes. You're going to see, you know, potentially Ukraine. You're going to see some of these other favored EU nations talking about building an additional tokenized system that's built on the blockchain that is outside of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be the enemy. Mark my words. This is going to be what's going to come out in this report in 2 to 3 years.
Hot take.
I completely agree with Dante 100%. And of course, we got Ben in the house. Ben just launched Private Key Bank Credit Union in El Salvador, made for Bitcoiners. Ben, we're on YouTube, bro, please. But I know you got a lot of thoughts about CBDCs and digital IDs. And my question to you is, bro, contain yourself 90%, but let us know your thoughts, Ben.
You are all right. We've reached a point, and I just want to bring this up. The head honcho, the CEO of BlackRock, is now the leader of the World Economic Forum. But there are people in our industry who are not on our side. Yes, they go on TV and they say, oh, you know, Bitcoin's the next this, you know, Bitcoin's the next that. Yeah, well, then what the hell are you doing leading probably the worst and evil and most satanic group in the World Economic Forum, who has led us into more wars, and they have actually killed more friggin' people than any other entity in the world. And yet, what we need to realize is they know what we know. He who owns the Bitcoin has the power. If you truly think that the European Union isn't accumulating a bunch of Bitcoin? They are. You know how? BlackRock. Because what we're doing is we are transitioning. This is the whole point of the Communist Manifesto, is to eventually evolve out of the need of the government. Right. Well, we are evolving out of a government structure right into a corporate structure. That's why Apple is actually going along with the digital ID, because we have a group of very wealthy people that were actually put in place generationally to progressively move us into global communism. Now, we aren't educated, or a lot of us average people aren't educated, that the system, they are not going to roll out and say, hi, we're communists, we're here to take over your world. No, what they're going to do is they'll launch BlackRock in 1989, and then they'll legislate and they'll put in laws where BlackRock can accumulate enough shares where they can then manipulate all of the corporations into, let's add this sugar, let's add that sugar. Yeah, how do you get rid of Americans? You kill them, but you don't actually kill them right away. You slow kill them. You put a bunch of ingredients.
Metaphorically.
Well, I mean, am I wrong? Show me a cereal that they advertise that's healthy. None of them.
No, it's true. But let me clarify for the sake, because just for the sake of YouTube, right? So it's essentially you're creating an environment with poor nutrition. You're creating an environment where it's very unhealthy for the average American to live. And that's why, you know, they're having these health problems very, very early on. So that's essentially what you're saying, Ben, is that, like, you know, a lot of these organizations, right? A lot of these international organizations are advocating for things that aren't exactly for, you know, the betterment of humanity. It's for the betterment of people's health, right? For their own self-interest, not actually going out there and using kinetic violence. And, you know, I'm sure there's some of that, but the majority of it is insidious. It's kind of through the back
evil.
door. It's incentivizing people to make certain behaviors that is acting against their own best interest and their own health.
I will say this as nicely as I can. There's a large group, about 200,000 people over the world, whose generational agenda, that means their dad was part of it, their grandfather was part of it. Here's a great example. All right, let's talk about the ex-CEO of Microsoft. All right, Mr. Bill Gates. How did he actually become rich? Well, he actually purchased what was called DOS. Who did he buy it from? Texas Instruments. Who did Texas Instruments actually get the software from? That would be DARPA. And who was his dad? Who was Mr. Bill Gates' dad? The CEO of the largest in the world, Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
Right.
It's again, you connect the dots.
These are not our friends. This is not people kind of making bad choices that wind up going bad. These are people who have an agenda to progressively eliminate enough of us where we're no longer a managerial issue. Now they're bringing in AI, they're bringing in robots. Why do you need humans, those crazy little useless eaters, as they call us? Why do you need those when you can just roll up a robot? We have to realize that we're at a point where either humanity lives or humanity doesn't.
Yep.
And
No, it's true. I mean, the crossroads, and again, a great kind of representation of this crossroads is, I think, humanity's biggest existential threat is the continuation of fiat, the continuation of central banking,
Yes.
which is the source of a lot of these evil organizations, or to put it nicely and politically correct, misguided organizations. I think that once you get rid of fiat and the world transitions to a Bitcoin standard, you're going to get much more different outcomes, right? So yeah, I mean, love having Ben on the show. He moves the Overton window like nobody else. But guys, we have a fantastic show for you guys lined up. Shout out to everybody who's tuning in. 545 on YouTube alone. So shout out to you guys. Smash that like button if you guys are enjoying the show. Before we jump into it, we do want to give a very special shout out to our partner, Bitcoin Well. Guys, Simply Bitcoin would not be on air without our partners, so we truly appreciate them. If you guys want to support the show, go check them all. They're in the video/podcast description. We recommend stacking your Bitcoin at Bitcoin Well. Why? It's an automatic self-custody Bitcoin on-ramp. What the hell does that mean, Nico? That means that they don't keep custody of your Bitcoin. As soon as you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, the funds clear. It goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. It's a publicly traded company. They're available in Canada. They're available in the United States. If you're a higher net worth individual, a family office, a trust, or an organization, and you want to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more, but you want a tailored white glove service that helps you buy Bitcoin and take it directly to self-custody, you have to check out Bitcoin Well Infinite today. To get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC. Tell them your friends over at Simply Bitcoin sent you, and they're going to take really good care of you. All right, everybody, let's start the show. We have tons to talk about today. And of course, we got Bitcoin Ben in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin Ben launched a bank in El Salvador. We're going to be talking about that in just a bit. I want to give a shout out to our partner, StampSeed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? StampSeed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates. Instead of just writing them down on paper, paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo, and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on StampSeed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
All right. Whoa. What's going on here?
What's happening? All right.
Wait.
I figured it out. Boom. Good to go.
Wait, where's Ben? There we go.
That was weird. Anyways, guys, go to stampseed.com today. Use the promo code on your screen. You get 15% off anything on the store. Don't write down your seed words on paper. Stamp them into titanium, one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, so that they could survive the test of time. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $99,680. you're buying Bitcoin right now, you're getting it at a 21% discount. Market cap of Bitcoin just under 2 trillion, and the block height is 923,475. So anyways, I'm sure Opti's got something lined up for you guys.
I got I'm sneaking in another news story on today because there was a lot of good news. This one is obviously, Dante brought it up. So a new feature just rolled out on Cash App where they're allowing you to pay from Cash App over Bitcoin rails using your USD balance. No Bitcoin required. So they literally have just unlocked Bitcoin payment to, I believe it's like 58 million users. Here's a little more breakdown. So this means for Cash App customers, no taxable events, no decrease in Bitcoin stack. For Square merchants, no fees, no chargebacks. And for the world, no middlemen, just pure open network. Feels like the future. Across blocks, we will continue to increase accessibility to all the benefits of both Bitcoin, the asset, plus Bitcoin, the network. So essentially, to break this down, guys, if you use Cash App, a lot of people do use Cash. I literally have been living off Cash App for like the last 3 years, guys. Not gonna lie. Full disclosure here. And so you could literally, you don't even have to have Bitcoin in your account. You could send dollars, and in the app, it will ask you, do you want to send dollars or Bitcoin to the person? So you're sending dollar value from your account, and then the person receiving it can receive it in Bitcoin. Now, I know a lot of people maybe are thinking like, well, you know, this isn't really using Bitcoin peer-to-peer here, but it is unlocking Bitcoin to a whole new network. I know Strike does something very similar, but I would argue Cash App is a way bigger financial app. So this is going to a whole new market of people. Obviously, they're still going to need some education on this, but Cash App, actually, rather Jack Dorsey, whether it's BitKey, whether it's Square, whether it's Cash App, he is doing exactly what he's been saying the last couple of weeks, that he wants people to use Bitcoin as money. And he's literally putting his mouth where his money is right now. Like, he is unlocking all of his apps to use Bitcoin. So you absolutely love to see it. Now, I'm going to open this up to you guys because you guys were talking about something here. So maybe it's Dante. Maybe I go to Dante first. Dante, what were you mentioning earlier?
Bro, this is massive. This is monumental. You know, besides the fact that Jack Dorsey is one of the original, you know.
Wait. Are you going to do this? Are we going to do this?
No, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do that. But the fact that, so you think about this like a restaurant, like a merchant, one of Square's 4 million merchants. You think about a restaurant profit and loss statement. You've got 30% food, you've got 30% labor, and you've got 30% OPEX. They try to hit a 10% profit number if you're trying to put together a P&L for a restaurant. So when the overall percentage of your revenue is 3.5% credit card fees, 30% of their profit goes to a credit card network, right? This doesn't even factor in chargebacks. This doesn't factor in anything else. Think about walking into a restaurant. Like, I paid for that bread 2 weeks ago out of my inventory. I've got to pay my waiters and my waitresses that single day once they get their tips. But your payment, when it comes in, I don't get paid for another 5 to 7 days. So you have the length of cash conversion cycle. So everyone talked about Bitcoin's not practical for buying coffee. It's always been practical for buying coffee. There was just never the rails or the platform or the app to unlock that capability. So now with the Cash App app, people can walk into a Starbucks, they can walk into whatever sort of coffee shop of their preference, and they're going to have a 30% profit increase overnight, right? This has nothing to do about whether they know about Bitcoin, whether they care about Bitcoin at all, because I can use my US dollars, it'll go over Bitcoin rails, and then they can convert that to Bitcoin, which they can stack, which further supports the network. They can convert that to fiat, or they can take a fiat payment and convert it to Bitcoin. You have all of the single rails that are available with one single payment experience. So this boosts the profitability overnight. This decreases the cash conversion cycle for business owners all across America. And so this is going to be a slow but steady educational process for people. When they see that sign, pay in Bitcoin, and we'll give you back a reward. What if they start to share those rewards back? Hey, we'll give you back an extra percent. We'll give you extra back 2% with no credit. That's the thing. We're removing credit from the system because they're doing it on actual debit transactions where we don't even have to use future credit for it. So this is going to unlock a lot of payments. This is going to unlock a lot of Bitcoiners for the first time. And I think it's a massive, massive news.
Yeah, I completely agree with Dante. I mean, Dante, one of the things that you mentioned that really stuck out to me was the fact that people are getting exposure to Bitcoin without even having to know Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, you know, the beauty of it, right? This is the whole point of the Bitcoin network. This is open monetary network that is superior to the current existing networks today. But again, I think one of the biggest friction points for people is the educational component. But the way that Square threaded the needle with this is that, again, they're using the technological advances, the capabilities that the Bitcoin network offers, without directly advertising to people, hey, you have to use it. Now, they give the option. I agree with you, Dante, 100%. I think that over time, people are going to say, you know, let me try that out. Like, that doesn't seem like such a bad idea. And I think the Bitcoin movement, at least in the United States and worldwide, is just in its infancy. Like, Bitcoin only media is just in its infancy. There is no channel that has a million. The fact that our industry, right, has no channel that has 1 million subscribers tells you how small this is, right? We're just in the beginning. I think over the next 10 to 15 to 20 years, the idea of Bitcoin, the ethos of Bitcoin are going to become mainstream. But in order for that to happen, you need these types of products being developed. You need this type of infrastructure being rolled out. And to be honest with you guys, like I love every Bitcoin startup, but you need a heavy hitter. You need someone like Block that is well capitalized, that is able to invest in the R&D, is able to invest in the technology and the software in order to roll this out on a national level.
Let me add one more piece that I think is really critical, because I haven't dug into the technicals on this, but what is actually happening is, because right now you have de minimis capital gains, right? The cost of any transaction under, they haven't fully passed the laws and the rules, but you would have capital gains taxes on these Bitcoin events. What's actually happening is that they're using Bitcoin between Square or Cash App and the seller, and therefore there is no transaction, there is no sale from Bitcoin to fiat, which would trigger a capital gain. What they're actually doing is Square is the intermediary. They're doing it instantly over time. So there's not actually going to be any taxable events. That's another big thing too, because people would say, well, what would happen if I actually, spent my Bitcoin and I would have a, capital gains tax? Well, they're removing that barrier, at least on the business side, but even on the consumer side, because you don't actually have to use Bitcoin.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's very exciting. Also got to say this as well is, a lot of people say elections don't have consequences. I think none of this would have happened if you didn't have a pro-Bitcoin administration going into the White House, ending Operation Choke Point 2.0, and getting two key pieces of legislation, one already over the finish line, the Genius Act, the Stablecoin Act, and the Clarity Act, which, if you look to any of the Washington, sources or insiders, say has a very high probability of passing either, this year or early next year. And I think that would be massive from a regulatory clarity perspective, but also giving clarity to entrepreneurs, giving clarity to businesses. And as what Dante was saying, like, think about it from a tax implication perspective, right? Because if there isn't this, at least this minimum amount of Bitcoin that you can spend without having at the end of the year to go and calculate the capital gains, that's a huge misincentive, or I don't even know if that's a word, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For people not to use Bitcoin as it was designed to be used, which is as money. Ben, I'm going to push this on. Go ahead.
Let me say one thing, because I'm going to get Ben going right here. So there was this movie that came out in our childhood that was called iRobot, Will Smith, right? So basically there was this brilliant scientist who developed this robot that had this, artificial intelligence and this thinking. I forget the name of the big corporation that it was, but literally there's this scene where they're driving through the middle of the highway and this robot bus turns to the side as Will Smith was driving. All the robots jump out. Go watch Tesla's big Optimus reveal, and you see literally that same bus from 2000 in the actual reveal that was in the movie. It's actually insane if you think about it. They're actually telling us something here. But there's a robot that they programmed that doesn't have all the same capability. He left them human, right? He left a part of this robot human, and the robot's name was Sunny, right? So when you think about like what Square is doing in a way, right?
Oh, Nico's got it. Nico's got
it. Yo, you see, like, bro, like literally it's the same bus. That is insane. They're telling you that we are finna take over the world with these robots. And if you don't have a Sunny, bro, you got issues. So what Square is doing, right? This is a programmable Sunny, right? We're trying to incorporate a Sunny, a robot with human features, with limitations, with connections. As we move into this tokenized world, we talked about, they just minted the last penny. Last year, they lost $86 million on pennies. We don't have pennies anymore. So this is a fully digital tokenized world. So we need to have a Sunny robot or a digital payment rails outside of the tokenized system that will allow us to fight back with the system. If there was no Sunny and no Will Smith, but he might also be a part of that too. Ben might get going on that. But literally, like, what's our fight back from CBDCs, from digital tokens in this whole world, right?
Man, I love Dante's references. I'm picturing iRobot as if I watched it yesterday. Fantastic.
Dante,
movie.
Nico wants to replace me with a Tesla Optimus.
You know that the Tesla robot is called the Optimus, right?
Bro, that's crazy.
He wants to buy one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I want to get at least two. I want to get two Optis.
He wants to get an Opti that agrees with him.
Yeah. An agreeable Opti, and then like hyper aggressive Opti, right?
That's besides the first part.
I wake up in the morning. I'm like, hey Opti, could you make me a sandwich? One of them's gonna say, of course, Nico, I would love to. And
That's not me.
The other one's gonna say what Opti would regularly say.
Anyways, let's get Bitcoin Ben Seg on.
Go F yourself.
Yeah, everything you actually said is exactly right. I mean, we've reached a level technologically where humans are no longer as valuable as we used to be. We are, let's just say, they look at us as they're gold, and these new robots are Bitcoin. Because just like the robots, it doesn't argue with you. You send it, it doesn't argue. It just goes. That's exactly what Bitcoin does. There you go. And what they're rolling out in CASHAPP, this is what I want people to wrap their heads around. This is only unique in America. Everyone else in the world, they're actually doing exactly what we are about to do. As soon as we receive a couple dollars, we rush and we exchange it for Bitcoin. Over in Europe and areas in like the Middle East and Africa and hell, like South America, they'll actually get paid in their local currency. Then they head over and say, look, I have euros, or I have this, or I have that. Let me exchange this for US currency. They're flipping out of a shit dollar into what they perceive as a better dollar. Well, we know, and a lot more people are learning, the US dollar is just a really big shit coin. It is EOS on crack. Right? That's what the US dollar is.
Well, it's the best piece. It's the best piece of shiitake in a shiitake bucket, right?
Right. Like I've said,
there's a lot of dung. The dollar is the best piece of dung.
Yeah,
the warmest piece.
It's we are living in a world that is corrupt. All of the money except the Bitcoin is corrupt. This is what people have to realize. The Federal Reserve, there are so many people in the US and everywhere who are arrested for manipulating the market. Our system is actually based on manipulating the market of the currency. Hey, SEC, why don't you go over and arrest a few people at the Fed? Because that's the source of the manipulation.
Yep.
And
Amen.
Everything rolls off of that. Like we are going to adjust an illusionary interest rate and then we're going to send out currency, or we're going to bring in currency on that interest rate. Let's all be honest. With America where we're at now, our interest rates should be in the 20s. We got shit credit, right? We're sitting at about 520, and we're applying for a home loan. Come on, man, let me get that house. Come on, I know I got shit credit. and I want a low interest rate on that loan. It's all a system that was created to destroy our labor value and roll it up into the government. It isn't a coincidence. The federal government has gotten bigger and the average middle class has gotten smaller. It isn't because there's less people. There's a lot more people. The problem is all of the value add was rolled up into the government.
Okay.
Using the Federal Reserve, using taxation. And we have actually been robbed. And nothing against everyone listening. I'm literally watching people freak out. Oh, the Bitcoin's only at 99,000. Brother, it is 1973 and we're from Cuba and we're going to Miami, and you are fucking complaining that we aren't there yet. All right? We're on the journey, and you're like, well, we're almost free, but for some reason, the waves, they keep kind of pushing us back a little bit. Fuck it, turn around. Let's go back to Cuba. No. All right? That's not how you win your freedom. You don't win your freedom worried about their manipulated money. You win your freedom accumulating the people's money. That's how we win this. We win when, number one, we have to get used to telling people to have a hot cup of fuck off. And that includes people from the government. George Washington was a revolutionary from the point of view of the king. George Washington is one of our greatest heroes. George Washington would slap the shit out of every single one of us right now.
Well, Ben, I found a picture of us on the raft escaping.
That's us.
Yeah, man,
I had that much hair,
dude. This is it would be a lot. We would be clean shaven in a nice yacht, but we're currently at 99,000. So I think is an appropriate image. It's an appropriate image.
Yeah,
anyhow,
it's okay, guys. We're at 99,000 shit dollars for one friggin' Bitcoin. Which is more valuable?
Oh man, well, dude, super obvious answer to that question. Obviously, clearly it's Bitcoin. It's an opportunity for you guys to buy it at a discount, 21% right now. If you're buying some cheap Bitcoin, it looks like it's gonna go into the 98K region. So make sure to smash that like button, smash some Bitcoin, buy some Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well. You guys, it's gonna be an incredible show. We still got 2 segments to cover. Opti's got some news lined up. And then, of course, we're going to be talking to Bitcoin Ben about Private Key Bank in El Salvador, and also Bitcoin Ben's clubs, which he has all over the United States, and also Bitcoin Ben Resorts, which he is launching in El Salvador, which, Ben, you promised me we could do a show from one of your resorts, man. I'm super looking forward to that. So, guys, smash the like button. I think we're on the verge of breaking 600 live viewers on YouTube alone. And, of course, 1,000 live viewers across all platforms. Smash the like button, and we're going to be right back in just a bit.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledn.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and CASHAPP. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
All right, everybody, we are back. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin. Go to bitkey.world. Use promo code SIMPLY. You get 20% off. It is literally the easiest Bitcoin hardware wallet to use. Has built-in multi-sig. This is the type of hardware wallet that you would gift to someone that is new to Bitcoin. Because, again, it's incredibly intuitive, incredibly easy to use. And, of course, it's built by our friends over at Square, which are the same people that built CASHAPP. So go to bitkey.world today, scan the QR code on your screen, and again, use promo code SIMPLY to get 20% off anything on the bitkey.world store. Opti, I know we've been talking about this subject for a while now, but anyone, the TLDR guys is this, right? And we've been we've done such an incredible job covering this because we've been covering it for 2 months. So let me give you guys the full context so you guys fully appreciate the situation and where we are in the movie. And then I want you guys to connect the dots with all the things we were talking about earlier regarding the digital IDs and the CBDCs. What they're trying to do is that they're trying to villainize and criminalize privacy, even though specifically it is protected by the Constitution. It's literally one of the amendments, no unreasonable searches and seizures. That's just gone by the wayside. But this is what's happened. During Operation Choke Point 2.0, during the Biden administration, we told you guys when they arrested the Tornado Cash developers and they used the justification that it was because they were going after the Lazarus group or this North Korean hacker group, we told you guys that it was going to set a very dangerous precedent. Why? Because the government was trying to make the case that it could sanction open source software. You know what else is open source software? Bitcoin. Now connect that with everything we just said in the beginning of the show regarding Christine Lagarde calling Bitcoin an escape valve. So you think all of those things are coincidences. After the Tornado Cash case went forward, Coin Center countersued the government and say this is unconstitutional. They lost that case. The moment they lost that case, within a month, they arrested the Samurai Wallet developers. They acted methodically, strategically, and they went after a relatively obscure, unknown mixer, which was Tornado Cash. So I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Nico, I don't care about Tornado Cash. I don't care about Samurai. I don't care about these things. Well, you should care, because you can't have freedom without privacy. And this idea that the world can't function if the state or the government doesn't take a look and know everything that you do is absolute ludicrous. It's nonsensical. They need to have that coercive system to keep you using a money that steals from you. That's what it boils down to. They need that they need to be able to surveil, to coerce you to use a money that steals. That's what it fundamentally comes down to. So I had to give that context.
Yeah,
Opti,
let me read
Opti,
this a
if
little
you
bit
could
for
pull
the
up the
people.
article. This is the latest regarding the Tornado Cash development case. We celebrated tremendously regarding Trump's victory. We had a pro-Bitcoin president in the White House, anti-CBDC president in the White House, but simultaneously, guys, we've lost ground when it comes for the battle for privacy. We've lost a lot of ground. If they're rolling out, if Apple is rolling out an effing digital ID on their iPhone and they're advertising and they're very happy about it, and again, the Samurai guy is serving 5 years in prison. He just got sentenced. We're not heading in the right direction. And the most difficult thing about privacy is that most people don't give a flying F. They just don't care. And the problem is that they won't care until it's too late. When it's too late, and when they start to care, when they start to say, this is a little bit too much, it's too late to do anything about it. So it's incredibly important we hold the line where we are right now. Anyways, wanted to give you guys that context. I'm going to pass it to Opti.
Yeah, thank you. So for the audio listeners, of course, the headline, this is from The Rage. You guys know I've been talking about Lola Leeds, highlighting a lot of the work she's been doing, or rather the whole Rage team. Lola's just kind of the figurehead here. Anyways, the headline is Roman Storm should not be acquitted, government says. Quote, the jury reasonably concluded that Tornado Cash transferred funds to the government states. Of course, in October, the Tornado Cash developer Roman Storm, who was found guilty of conspiring to operate an unlicensed money transmitter earlier this year in the SDNY, filed a motion for acquittal on all counts. At trial, the jury was unable to come to a conclusion on whether Storm conspired to commit money laundering and conspired to violate U.S. sanctions, resulting in a deadlock. But now the government has filed its opposition, arguing that Storm's motion for acquittal should be denied because Tornado Cash did transmit user funds.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so if you guys want to know why Satoshi is anonymous, why Satoshi disappeared, this is why. This is literally why he disappeared, right? Because what the government is trying to make the case for is Tornado Cash is open source non-custodial, meaning Roman never actually had access to people's money. The government is trying to make the case that because he developed a software, he is somehow responsible for people using that software for illicit means, even though the majority of people that were using Tornado Cash and Samurai were not using it for illicit purposes. They were using it for privacy. So again, it's an extremely slippery slope. Now, the other thing that I wanted to add while Opti was covering the article is, why is this happening now? Why did the government say, hey, you know what? Actually, even though the jury was deadlocked, you know what? We don't actually want to drop this case. You want to know why? Because the Samurai guy just got convicted and just got sentenced to 5 years in jail. They have
the same thing.
They have the precedent now, right? They didn't have the precedent before. Now they do. And now they feel emboldened. And what they're going to do is they're going to make an example out of him, just like they did with Ross Ulbricht. Opti.
No, I think that's all I really wanted to cover of this article. That's the meat and potatoes. But Ben wants to pop in here.
Yes.
Ben, again, we are on YouTube, so You know, be a little nice to us.
Oh, I love you guys. Fuck this judge or whoever or the prosecutors or the government. This is our problem, guys. We have to realize we're ran by the largest mafia. That's what the
Well,
government
hold
is.
on. Ben, wait. Ben feels very strongly about the judge, right? And we feel very strongly about the judge too. And yes, when a government gets so big, right, you can make very strong parallels between, you know, like they kind of operate like like a very organized cartel behind a seal of legitimacy, right? So that's what Ben was trying to describe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. The government is just a group of people who create an environment and usually create a flag that we can all salute, and then they set a precedence of we're the government, you are the governed, and you will do what we say. And just like any other organization or corporation or whatever, their sole goal is to enforce their authority. That's what the government is. Because really, the government, all set aside, the government's only weapon is violence. Whether they arrest you or they shoot you or whatever, the government, if you do not comply, they say they can legally bring violence to you. Now, and this is good, this is going to go a little deep. Legalism actually is an ancient Chinese way of organizing a government. They were the legalists in the ancient Chinese world. Legalists were the largest gang in China. And legalists invented the concept of government law. And what we have to realize is for thousands of years, law is a tool, is a weapon of the government against the people. So and I feel for these guys who are going through this, and I will be making some telephone calls to Washington, D.C. Someone needs to unplug this, because we've reached a point when the government is no longer acting in the interest of the American people. It is our obligation to lead a revolution against them. Now, no. I am not saying violent. I mean, go out and vote.
Yes, absolutely. There needs to be a peaceful revolution of the people to stand up and say, listen, what's going on? But Ben, I'll even add to that, and I'll say, listen, I think that I don't think a government would be a government by the people for the people. I don't think it would be possible unless we end the institution of central banking. Until
Absolutely.
we do that, the government is incentivized they're not incentivized to do good by their constituents if they have another source of revenue. Again, they're unaccountable. They can just print the money they want. They could pay themselves. They can fund themselves. They have no incentive to change, right?
This is what I was just in Washington, D.C. last week, and I hate that place. That place feels evil. It is hell incarnate. And I'll tell you why. Washington, D.C. is beautiful. They got beautiful buildings. They have high-end restaurants. They have all this beautiful, the roads are gorgeous. Guess what? They don't produce jack shit. All right? You know what they do? They're leeches off of the labor of the American people. That's what they are. That city was created on the backs of the American people. And we, for some reason, we keep on kneeling down and giving the old.
Yeah. We get it. We get it.
Let's get Dante in here, but in the interest of time, because we do want to give a lot of time for Ben to talk about his project. So Dante, you want to jump in here real quick?
Come on, Dante. I know you got something to say,
bro. No, I think y'all covered it. I think honestly, it is really critical because it's the line. The culture is what they say is what you allow, right? And when the bar for what you allow becomes, we are going to prosecute anyone who is against our ability to surveil, curtail, or control, right? That becomes the new bar and the new standard upon which everything and every foundation that you live by is built upon. And so that infringes into all corners of your life, right? This is our open source development in terms of wallets and Bitcoin. This goes into what we watch on our TVs. This goes into what we buy and what we eat. So when you talk about the arrows of progress, they will call the arrows of progress. When we connect this back to the EU and CBDCs and digital dollars, they call this progress. This is not progress. This is anti-freedom. This is collusion at the highest levels, right? But it's being masked in the form of legislation and policy, which is what, you know, Ben, I think you were getting at too with legalism and going back to the history of that and that term and where it came from. So it becomes a new bar, becomes a new standard, and the slope is slippery. It's not one that you can come back up on once you start sliding down. So I agree with everything that you guys said. It's important, understand it, vote with your wallets, vote with your dollars, vote with your participation, vote with your action, vote with where and how you tend to spend your content, your money, your energy, right? And all that's going to flow towards a system that you either believe in or a system that you don't believe in, but you will have no control or no power to change what you're living in.
Absolutely. Let me jump in here real quick. This is what I want everyone to hear. Everyone should go to their job and say, I want to be paid. I want to be paid in Bitcoin. Work for the system that you want to see win. That's what, if you're a good employee, your boss will figure it the fuck out. Right? Put that on them. You say, I work for freedom money. I don't work for slave money.
Yep.
That's how you change the system. And everyone should hop on Cash App. I've never used Cash App. I'm going to use it now. All right, because this is a movement and we, the people, have to lead it. It's why I launched my credit union in El Salvador, because we create the new system or BlackRock does. Yep. Someone's going to create it.
Yep.
And it should be us.
All right, everybody. We're going to hit the culture segment. We're going to be talking to Bitcoin Ben about private key bank. We're going to be right back in just a bit. I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at HIVEdigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitcoinBen.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank, and you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys, tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth,
and join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io, join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.